today for this first webinar of the year for us here at Severalnines. It's good to have you with us. The webinar is today on MySQL replication for high availability. My name is Jean-Jérôme and I'm with the Severalnines team. I'll be your host today. So if you have any questions or issues, technical issues with the system during the webinar, feel free to contact me either in the chat box or using the question section of your control panel. And of course, if you have any questions on today's content, feel free to ask them as well in the question section of your control panel again. If you have follow-up questions or would like to speak to us directly as well, after the webinar, feel free to email me at jj@severalnines.com. And I make sure that we get your questions answered there, or that I put you in touch with the relevant colleagues on our team. But for now, before we get started with today's topic, again on MySQL replication for high availability, which my colleague Christoph is going to present, I wanted to ask all of you a quick question just to get an idea of who of you in the audience are currently using MySQL replication, and it's just to help us position a little bit the information we present today, and also maybe pre-answer some questions you may have. So whether you already use it or not, or whether you're planning to use MySQL replication in the coming months, or maybe you're just kind of interested to find out more information. That'd be great to get your feedback here, and then we'll get started with the presentation shortly. So thanks for your participation. There's still a few of you providing your information here, so I give it a few more seconds. Thanks very much. That's fantastic. I'm just going to close the poll now and share the results, which I hope everyone can see. So this is nice and maybe not too surprising, but most of you are already using MySQL replication, and of course this is going to be a good session to get a refresh and get some maybe new ideas on the topic as well. And the other part of you are looking into going towards MySQL replication, which is good to see as well. Yeah, so with that information discussed, and thank you for participating, I'm going to hand over to you, Christoph, for today's session on MySQL replication for high availability.
Okay, thank you, JJ. So good morning, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Krzysztof Książek, and as JJ said, today we'll be talking about MySQL replication, managing MySQL replication. So in the agenda for today, we prepared. We'll start with a quick demo of how MySQL replication can be managed using the cluster control. So we will show a little bit of deployment, topology changes, and we will discuss some of the more important metrics that are related to MySQL in general, but also related to MySQL replication. We're going to talk about dealing with schema changes and topology changes within MySQL replication, and then we will conclude by discussing the potential solutions for some issues in MySQL replication. So, but first, let's say a few words about the MySQL replication itself, and it probably will answer. It will explain why most of you are using MySQL replication. So it's available since always, almost since MySQL 3.23, so it's really long ago. It's a really proven and robust solution based on moving the binary logs from master to the slave and then replaying events. Recently, it got some improvements. In MySQL 5.6, global transaction ID has been introduced, which this is the global transaction ID basically implements a way for the MySQL to track every single transaction in every place of the topology. So in short, you're able to find every single event that is being written to the binary logs can be found and identified by looking at the GTID. In 5.6, also multi-threaded replication has been introduced. This is something which at that point it worked on per schema basis. So if you have multiple schemas, you can use some of the parallelization and speed up your writes. This has been vastly improved in 5.7, where a new way of parallelization has been added. I'm talking about this logical clock parallelization, which enables users to benefit from multi-threaded replication even if there's only one schema, or well, the traffic is mostly hitting one schema. MySQL replication can be asynchronous or semi-synchronous. In short, asynchronous replication is that you just write to the master and keep fingers crossed that one of the slaves will receive this this event before the master crashes. With semi-synchronous replication, things are slightly different. So there is a warranty that at least one of the slaves will apply, will commit, maybe other way, will receive the event and it will store it on a persistent storage. That's the best way to explain it. So the slave can be lagging because this event may not be applied yet, but it's stored on a persistent storage and the data won't be lost. And all those things, the fact that this is a really proven and robust solution makes MySQL replication a backbone of majority of the large MySQL deployments. And by large, I'm thinking about large as in Facebook, Booking.com, GitHub, Dropbox, Twitter. So that's really a proven solution and used widely in the public. So MySQL replication and cluster control. I would like to talk a few words about how MySQL replication works within the cluster control. So I'm going to show the deployment process, how to deploy master, then how to add a slave to the replication and topology. I'm going to show you how to promote slave, recover slave should you find it's not consistent with the master and you want to rebuild it. And also I'll be talking about I'll be showing some of the graphs and the metrics that can be useful while talking with while working with MySQL replication. And this demo will be kind of a back and forth between the demo and the slides because some of the steps may take a while. So not to waste much time, we will be just starting some jobs, for example, and go back to slides. Okay, so let's take a look at our cluster control deployment. It's empty. It's an empty cluster control. No clusters are defined. So what we can do, we can create a database node. As you can see, we have a MySQL application master type. So we'll be creating our master. We'll be using Percona Server 5.6 for this demo. Theoretically, I mean, it is possible to deploy a master using as a 5.7 Oracle. But the problem here is that cluster control leverages extra backup to provision nodes, to rebuild nodes. And as of yet, extra backup is not supported. I mean, Oracle is not supported by the extra backup. So we'll stick to 5.6, which will be able to, where we'll be able to use all those features. So the host name, let's pick one of them. MySQL root password, so we'll put something here. Of course, the passwordless replication SSH connectivity has to be set between the cluster control node and the MySQL node. So I have it ready, so I'm putting this as a user. We could deploy semi-sync replication or not. Let's stick to the regular replication for now. And regarding repositories, so there are a couple of options here. So for starters, there's the default repository, which will basically mean that cluster control will it will open. I mean, it will use the Percona's repositories. You can use internal repository, which this option means basically that cluster control won't make any changes in your apt or yum configuration. So it will just assume that all packages should be available using whatever repository you have created and you have set up. If not, well, there will be errors. And of course, you can. There's also possibility to create a new mirror repository. It could be pretty. So basically, this is kind of a snapshot of the Percona's repository at this given point in time, and it is useful if you want to make sure that all of your nodes will stick to, for example, to this one MySQL version. For now, let's just use default repository and start the job. So we can watch our progress here. As you can see, the access is checking, and some jobs, some operations will be performed, and then we'll start with installing any additional packages that we may want to use with our MySQL, and then MySQL will be installed. So this will take a little while. So we are going to go back to our slide deck. Let me rearrange it a little bit. And yeah, let's focus on the deployment scenarios for the MySQL replication, because, well, that's what we are doing right now. So I put a couple of examples of what kind of deployments you can do using MySQL replication. Put single data center, multi-data center type of deployments, and I put the the most common ways of deploying the MySQL application in those single and multi-data center setups. Although the truth is that any of those deployments can be deployed in both ways. So there's not like a limitation that you have to deploy some intermediate master in a single DC. That's not how it works.